Good evening, Ward 5 Councilor and candidate. Thank you for participating this evening. The questions will be a 2-minute response, a 1-minute response, and a 2-minute response. You will begin with a 30-second opening remark. And you will begin, Councilor Hughes, if you would begin, please.
Sure. Thank you to the Democratic and Republican City Committee for organizing this tonight. My name is Kirsten Hughes. I am the Ward 5 Councilor, and I am asking for your vote for re-election on November 3rd. I love Quincy. I'm born and raised here in Ward 5. My husband and I are committed to Quincy. We bought our home here. We're raising our sons here, and I want to make sure that we're moving Quincy forward in a responsible and exciting way. And by doing that, we will make sure that kids growing up today in Quincy want to stay here in Quincy, grow their businesses, grow their families. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the Quincy Democratic and Republican committees for putting this together. My name is Gina Ostis. I'm originally from Boston. I've lived in Quincy for 15 years. My husband and I have lived in our home on Estabrook Road for 12 years. I teach in the public school system here in Quincy. I'm also a certified yoga instructor teaching at Healing Tree Yoga, as well as teaching corporate classes at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Boston. I came into this race primarily, and from the inception of this race, it's all been about communication, transparency, and honesty, and I feel I can bring those attributes to the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Our first question will be to Councilor Hughes. The empty building at Quincy Medical Center has many neighbors concerned over the potential use of the property, of the facility. What will you do to make sure that any use of the facility will keep the neighborhood safe?
Well, thank you for the question, and it's certainly something that I have talked about with several folks, not just neighbors up in that neighborhood, but with the administration, with nurses at Quincy Hospital concerning what's going to be there and how things are going on today. I am dedicated to making sure that there's an emergency room in Quincy with a city of this size, and I can only tell you we've used the emergency room twice since the hospital was closed. And I can't express to you the comfort and the importance that an ER brought to my family here. So that is really paramount, making sure that there are some medical services there. And again, that takes working with the community, making sure that whatever we do is the responsible thing to do there. The other aspect of this is certainly there is a hospital which will be going to be used for something else. I think making sure that it is either utilized as something for medical services and or something that works for the neighborhood. Because part of what is going on in Quincy is this development. We are attracted to developers. We're a great place to grow businesses and development, but we need to make sure that we preserve the integrity of the neighborhood. And part of that is by doing community meetings with community input and working with community leaders and the administration and all of the city departments to make sure that what goes there preserves, again, the integrity of the neighborhood, because that's what's most important. Making sure that we are having medical services for the city that is sufficient to meet our needs in a city of a little over 90,000, but making sure that whatever development that happens there is responsible for the neighborhood. That's a great neighborhood. The folks up there are very cooperative, they're very open and to things, to development, to moving forward, but we need to make sure it's in a safe, responsible way.
Thank you. Ms. Ostis.
Yes, well, it truly is a disgrace that the hospital closed in the first place. In a city our size, we really do need a hospital. You know, I was thinking about it the other day, and I thought that if I were elected, I would reach out to the other council members as well as the mayor, and perhaps get some kind of communication going with some of the bigger cities in Boston, and perhaps make a satellite clinic or a larger hospital type place where our residents can go. Actually, much more than a clinic, really. Even if it was a hospital but on a smaller scale, and perhaps reach out to Mass General or Brigham or one of the larger Boston hospitals to perhaps collaborate with them and bring something into Quincy. Because right now we need more than an emergency room, I'm afraid. We need a hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will go to Ms. Ostis first. What do you believe is the most important quality of life issue facing Ward 5?
Okay, lots of issues. I would say probably one of the biggest issues, and this is just communication that I've had with a lot of the people that I've spoken to during my campaign, is the neighborhoods. They're just afraid that they're losing that close, cozy kind of neighborhood feeling. The other thing is the infrastructure of the neighborhoods, the decaying sidewalks, the decaying streets. Even so much as really just the beautiful trees that we have on the streets, the safety issue of having the trees trimmed, and that's not happening. So things like that. The other thing is certainly development, which plays into the whole feel of our neighborhoods. I'm not against development, it's a good thing. It's always going to happen, but we have to do it in a responsible, mindful way. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hughes.
The most important issue I feel facing any ward in any city and town in America, truthfully, is safety. And safety takes the form of many things, not just crime and ensuring that we're safe to be in our homes, to walk down the street, to take our kids to school, because that's absolutely paramount. If you step off your front steps and don't feel safe, then nothing else really matters. So I'm happy to say that I've hosted several crime meetings in the ward in terms of crime prevention, crime tips, making sure that our neighborhoods are safe. But safety also means sidewalks and streets and making sure that they're safe. I've worked collaboratively with the DPW, worked with traffic and parking to make sure that our streets and our sidewalks are getting done, to make sure that they are not cracked, that folks aren't falling down, that if there's an issue that it needs to be addressed. It's not perfect, but we're working very hard towards that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
And the final question will begin with Councilor Hughes, and that is, what do you believe is the most important issue facing this city today?
Well, thank you for the question, and it certainly is, and I don't think anybody has not mentioned it, but development is certainly something that is facing our city, like it is, again, in so many wards, not just in Ward 5, but our city. And Quincy's a great community. I grew up here. It does have that hometown feel that when you go to Stop and Shop, when you go to Hannaford's, you know, once in a while as I knock doors, I have this real serendipitous moment where I know the person whose door I've knocked on because I've helped them with a constituent issue, or I grew up with their kids, and then as I'm leaving their doorstep, I run into somebody who's walking their dog, who, again, I know, who gives me a wave, asks how the kids are. That's a real community. And making sure that that is preserved while we also realize and capitalize on the attractiveness of our city and how wonderful it is to attract development here and grow our city and make sure that we are moving forward. Because to stay still and be afraid to take that step is to atrophy and to not be productive. And Quincy has so many great qualities, not just our history, but our people and our location is so wonderful. And I know young families, young professionals are attracted to our community because of our access to Quincy, to Boston, but not only that, because again, that great deep sense of community that my husband and I chose to raise our sons in. And I just think it's so important, and it's such an important issue facing our city, that we make sure that development happens, but that we're moving forward responsibly and improving the integrity of our neighborhoods, because our business communities, our commercial areas, and our residential areas are so tightly enmeshed. So that really is the most important thing, and I think you'll hear everyone talking about it this evening.
Ms. Ostis.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What do you believe is the most important issue facing our city today?
The most important issue is probably what transpires with the downtown development, because everything, I believe, is really based on whether or not that's a success or a failure. Everything stems from that. And so my hope is that the mayor and the council and the councilors at large will all get together and invite businesses in, a variety of businesses. Not just one type of business, but a variety of businesses. Because right now, there isn't a lot of economic growth coming into the city if you don't have a bustling, vibrant downtown. You have to have that, and everything stems upon that. Everything that's sort of like the core, and everything is the offshoot of that. So I would say probably the downtown redevelopment. And I'm hoping and praying that it is a success, because we love Quincy. We want to stay here. We're invested in this city. And so I think that is probably the most pressing issue at this point.
Thank you, Gina.
You're welcome.
And if you would start, Ms. Ostis, with your 1-minute closing remarks.
As many of you know, this is my first time running for a political office. It's really been an amazing experience for me. I've met wonderful people. People who were strangers when I knocked on the door and are now friends and supporters of mine. Many of them have placed their trust in me to sit on the city council and to do the job that elected officials are supposed to do. What citizens want is very simple. They want communication, responsiveness, action, and transparency. My intention is to do just that. I want to work hard to make a difference in the lives of my Ward 5 neighbors. Every candidate here tonight was once a first-time candidate. I want you to remember that. In my opinion, political naivete shouldn't lessen a person's ability to be a competent and successful counselor. So if you're looking for fresh ideas, thoughtful decision-making, and clear communication, then I'm your candidate, and I respectfully ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Councilor Hughes.
Thank you. Again, thanks to the Democratic and Republican city committees tonight for putting this together. It is truly a show of bipartisanship that makes my heart warm. But I don't hope to stay in Quincy. I'm staying here. Again, this city is part of who I am. And I do this job because I love the folks. I love our city. I want to be a part of making it great and moving it forward. From everything to working on economic development, making sure that our veterans are honored appropriately, because we do a great job in Quincy of doing that, making sure we see more of that. And again, making sure that those bread and butter issues, that when you step off your stoop, you feel safe, confident, and things look the way they should. That is why I'm running again and asking to be re-elected on November 3rd, to make Quincy a better place for my family, for yours, and to make sure that it's a place all folks want to live, work, and stay. Thank you.
Thank you both. Let's have a round of applause for our Ward 5 speakers.